We're now going to cover the built-in map function. So as you can see, function is in quotes, and that's because map is technically a type, but is more similar to a function, as you will see below. Map is often used with anonymous functions, which is why it is brought up in this section. So let's take a look at how map works. First is the syntax. You write map, and then you pass it in two arguments. One is a function, the second is an iterable. So what map does is it takes each item in the iterable and it passes it one at a time to the function. All right, so let's see how this works with an example. Let's say we want to square every item in this list. So my list would be the iterable. And what we're going to do here is use an anonymous function as our function that we pass into map. So we're going to say lambda. That's how we started off. And then the parameters. So it's going to take in one parameter, and it'll take the value of each item in the iterable. So lambda, we'll just say x, and then colon, and then here's the body of the function. What is actually going to happen? Well, it's very simple. We're just going to take x and we're going to square it. So here is the function part. We're just going to put a comma here. That is the first argument. And then we will pass it the iterable, which is my list. Okay, so let's go ahead and execute this, and you'll see something returned. And so what has happened is that map creates this map object. It doesn't actually run through each item in the list yet until it is needed. So what we need to do is we can just assign it to some variable like m, like this. So m is this map object. And then to actually view and force it to actually go through each item in the iterable and apply this function, we need to pass it to a list constructor, and then it will do it like this. So if you want to do this in one step, you would say list and then pass it in to map like this, and you would get the result over here. So each item is squared. So each item, 5 was squared, then 8 was squared, and so on. All right, so you might be wondering, we've done all this work, and this is actually the exact same as a list comprehension. So there really isn't need for using map here. We could have used a list comprehension. So let's go ahead and do that. So if you remember a list comprehension, let's write the for loop part first. So for x in my list, right? So we're going to go through one at a time over here. And then what are we going to do? We are going to square it. So this is the expression part over here. And if we execute this, we will get this same exact list. So you can either use this map or a list comprehension to do the same thing. That's what a list comprehension is doing. It is, this is essentially the body of the function, this x squared, and that's what it's applying to each item in this list. Now, so I would advise you to use list comprehensions over map in nearly all use cases. So list comprehensions are just a lot more popular, a lot more common, and they are a little bit easier to use, in my opinion. So you don't have to write this anonymous function. You can just put what you want to do to each iterable right here. So definitely use list comprehensions over map. The only reason I really bring this up is that it is built in. Some people like to use it, and it does use anonymous functions, or it is a use case for anonymous functions, which is why I like to introduce it here. All right, so that is the map built-in function, which is technically a type.